8:14 done, so
Okay, we'll call this meeting of the Brown County Commission to order. Let's start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. First on the agenda, 8:45, we got the Bibb County Road 16 project. Good morning, Dirk. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
history in the making right here.
Yes.
No.
3 miles is better than none. No, I don't need
Yep.
this.
Yep. And actually, long term, I've never really talked about it, but long term, we'll keep working our way north.
This was long term.
Yeah, I know. I know. So
Short term.
so by like 2045, we ought to have the whole thing wrapped up.
By then it'll be time to redo the south end. Yeah.
Do you and Mike want to do it, or what?
I don't care.
Do you want me to?
Why don't you read them? Or do you want to, or you don't want
I'll
to?
get the legal and read that.
Okay. Okay. Once you sit down, I'll pace around.
You can sit here, Dirk. He didn't wear his glasses, that's the problem.
Yep. The bigger problem is knowing which pair I have on, actually.
Keep an spare set. Well, you might have.
Put it in.
And that's a request for the bid tab once we get it done.
Okay.
Wait for an executive session.
See where we hide.
That's your estimate.
That's
Got a
what
couple.
it is.
More than one there?
I think so. We've got two at least.
Okay.
If I could read my own specs.
Sealed bids will be received by the Brown County Auditor at 25 Market Street, Aberdeen, South Dakota until 8:45 a.m. local time on the 21st day of June 2016 for the above referenced project. Brown County number 16, grading and graveling surfacing, Brown County, South Dakota. Bid shall be prepared and submitted in accordance with the bidding documents. The owner reserves the right to accept or reject any and all bids as set forth in the bid documents. At or shortly after the time named above, within the county commission chambers, such bids will be publicly opened and read aloud. Bids will be reviewed and approved at a subsequent meeting of the Brown County Board of Commissioners. The project includes grading and placement of 12-inch of interim surfacing base course on Brown County 16 from Brown County 23 north 3 miles, culvert replacement and guardrail. Other project work includes clearing, maintenance of traffic signing, and traffic control. The completion date for all work other than permanent seeding is December 2nd, 2016. Permanent seeding shall be completed by June 1, 2017. Each bid shall be accompanied by a bid security as described in the bid documents. The successful bidder will be required to provide payment and performance bonds as described in the bid documents. And the rest just says that where they can get the plans and specifications. Were there any addendums?
Yes, there's one.
Okay. Explain the addendum.
Oh,
And do you have a copy of it?
yeah, I do. Good, right. The addendum, in brief, changed the way the metal pipe was. The metal pipe was to be furnished and installed rather than just installed. At one time it was to be county furnished, and the addendum changed that. It also revised some of the earthwork numbers, and that's about it.
Okay. So you need a
Did it
motion.
address the pipe?
I'll move it.
Moved by
23.
Hanson to
Yep.
accept that addendum, seconded by Sutton. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Oh, that's a bond.
Forget about that. Sort of important.
Okay, the first one is from Foothills. Foothills out of Webster. And would have been nice to have more bids, but two's better than one, so.
For sure.
Just nice to see bids.
Got acknowledgement of the addendum.
They have a bid security.
Yep. That is on. Okay. I won't go through all the line items, but the total from Foothills is $2,462,587.50.
Okay on that one.
Do you like when you're close? Or?
It always helps.
So you don't yell at him?
The second one's from H.F. Jacobs and Son from here in Aberdeen. Got acknowledgement of the addendum. And for a total bid of $2,981,163.32.
Was there a bid security?
Yes.
Bid bond?
Let me look here. Got something. Bid bond.
Okay, is there any questions on the bids? Do you guys want to review those?
I was gonna probably put it off a week, but I kind of was expecting more bids. So if Mike's got them, you know, if he can look through them quick
Check
here
them
while
out.
we conduct the rest of our meeting, and then I'll check with them about the time you guys get done and see if we're comfortable to award it.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Good.
We'll let you.
Thank you.
Do we need to defer it by a motion or not? Answer it and come back.
I'll make a motion to defer,
Yeah,
that way it's
it's
legal.
Okay.
Second,
Second.
in case you don't get it done.
We got a
today.
motion by Sutton, did you
Okay.
say?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Fishback, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we'll catch you guys in a bit here. Why don't we, next thing isn't until 9, so we'll go ahead and read that.
Thank you.
Right.
For bid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Dirk's got more things.
What's that?
But I think the rest is at 9, right?
Yeah.
We have to wait till 9.
Oh, okay, all right. Minutes from June 14th, general?
Move.
Moved by Sutton, is there a second?
What for?
On the minutes,
Oh, second.
seconded by Fishback, all in favor say aye.
I need somewhere to go.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims?
Move.
Moved by Feldheim,
Second.
seconded by Hanson. Any discussion on the claims? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Personal miles driven in county-owned vehicles?
Move.
Moved by Fishback,
Second.
seconded by Sutton. Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Set a public hearing for an annual malt on-off sale beer license for Centennial Village. And the hearing will be July 12 at 8:45.
Moved by Feldheim, seconded by Hanson. Any discussion on that?
Is that, will that run from January to January, or what's the time frame when you?
Malt
it's an annual?
beverages, July 1 to June 30th. So in the meantime, he'll have to get special one-day permits for the village.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Set the date for a tax deed sale and authorize advertising. I believe the sale is July 18.
Move it.
Moved by Fishback,
Second.
seconded by Feldheim. Any questions or discussions on that?
One legal is new and one is a carryover from a no sale the last time we advertised it.
Okay, and it is, July 18th, 2016 at 10 a.m. Brown County Annex. Lot 8, Block 16, Haggerty and Lloyd Edition, 509 North Penn Street, and Liberty Township, 20 rods next west of the east 26 rods of the north 11 rods of northeast section of 19-128-26. The address is 39493 103rd Street. Just want to get that on the record. Any other questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
There are 2 resignations. One's for the maintenance department, one for the sheriff. You can do them in one motion if you want. The one for maintenance is Mark Zier, and the one from the sheriff is Cheryl Downs, and they are both requesting, they have a request to fill the vacancies.
Move.
Moved by Feldheim,
Second.
seconded by Sutton. Any discussion on those 2? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Lease agreements for 4-H horse shows. One was held June 22nd, and there's one coming up June 25th and 26th.
The 22nd
Will be
is tomorrow. I'll move it.
Moved by Hanson,
Second.
seconded by Sutton. Any discussion on those lease agreements? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
That's all I
Very
have.
good. Gary?
On April 26th, you made a motion to start the new differential rates. It was asked if we could maybe start the 3rd, which would be the beginning of the new pay period instead of the 1st, if you could amend that.
I'll move to amend that motion.
Second.
Motion by Sutton, seconded by Fishback. Questions on that? Moving it from, say that again,
From July 1st to July 3rd, start of the new pay period.
July 1st to July 3rd. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Did everybody get a chance to review the sundial timekeeping system proposed policy and have any concerns about that? Larry looked over it also.
It looked good to me, for the most part, yep.
I didn't see anything wrong with it.
I had add to excluding the state's attorneys at the state's attorney's office, but besides that, that was pretty much all that was changed. Except some third person to first person to third person language, but all the wording pretty much stayed the same except some grammar type things. So.
And those are the only exceptions? No.
Yep, electeds and state's attorneys, the attorneys and the state's attorneys.
Okay. Did everybody get the chance to review that? Was there any questions or anything on that?
I'll move to approve it.
Okay. Motion by Sutton. Is there a second? Second by Feldheim. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Immediately.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I would say so. Do you want to include that in your motion?
I'll include that, yeah,
Okay.
effective.
The what?
Effective immediately.
Oh, okay. Like at the beginning of the pay period?
That's what it should be, the
Yeah.
paper.
Do it.
When's the next, we start on?
Is it that July?
When you can go effective yesterday or Sunday, or you can go to the next pay period either way.
Since we just started on Sunday, I'll amend my motion to make it effective, whatever the Sunday was,
June
19th, June
Yeah.
19th.
I guess just a question, are all the offices set up now to start doing it?
Just about by this next pay period, they will be.
But I mean, they're gonna have to start doing it.
Right.
So maybe we want to make it July
yesterday.
3rd.
I think we need to make it July
Based
3rd.
on that comment, I'll amend my motion to make it effective July 3rd,
Sounds
since
good.
we're not quite there yet.
And then if we need if they can get any feedback of those folks that are already playing with it
You bet.
and make sure everything's in order.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right, that brings us up to 9 o'clock. Dirk, how are you? I feel like you just saw
Yeah, it's like I was just here.
me. Do you want to go over what you guys found first?
Over here?
Yeah, or
He's
is
still
it
doing
still
it.
working?
He's still
Okay,
doing
let's
it.
go through your right-of-ways and discussion of vacation of intersection.
Okay, what do we have there first? I've got,
NBC?
2 right-of-ways that both go into the weather service. Let's see which one is. One of these is James Valley and one's... Okay, so this one's Northern Valley. And all it's doing is coming off of Highway 12 and coming down the west right away, like in front of Butler, down to the weather station. And that's for phone telecommunications. There's no problems with it.
Move it.
Moved by Hanson,
Second.
seconded by Sutton. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
The next one is also for it's from SDN Communications for the broadband. And it's also going to the Weather Service, except it's starting down here in front of Joby Acres. Their existing, it's right down there by that corner. Their existing line is about 500 feet south of Joby Acres. They feed into those houses that are south of Joby Acres from the south. So basically they're going to come up in front of Joby and then come around that kind of gravel road that loops by the airport and come into the Weather Service from the south. And that's for from SDN Communications for the broadband.
Move it.
Moved by Fishback.
Second.
Seconded by Feldheim. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And the third one is from James Valley Communications, and it's just updating a phone service, which is almost in North Dakota. Right there, 102nd Street, just north of 102nd Street. And it's just going from one side to the other side and updating the service. It'll just bore under the road to the existing terminal.
Move it.
Moved by Feldheim.
Second.
Seconded by Hanson. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
The other thing I was just going to touch on is the vacation of the intersection of County Road 5 and 16, also known as Stearns' Corner up there. There was old curves. There was one there, and there was another one that was down here on 5. I'm assuming at one time, well, I mean, even when I was here before, they were open, but the traffic would, you know, make this corner and go and make that corner without having to stop. Well, we're trying to get away from having where you got to merge into oncoming traffic to get into your lane, and this will be just a regular stops on both sides. 16's a through road, and same thing up here. 16's a through road, and we have a stop here. We did use some of this dirt from the old curve there to make a wide radius, so a truck with pulling a pup will be able to make around there. So there's a wide radius for that, and you know, all of this is kind of part of the transportation study that you guys had done in 2012 or so, I think it was. One of the things they noted that would be a valuable asset to our system is having a good road from Frederick to Hecla, and the work we've been doing up here in the bridge and all this is all kind of associated with that. This will probably get paved, it looks like, next year, the 3 miles in between, and then we should have it pretty good. We're actually just finished paving this the other day. So that's the nature of it. What the resolution is, and Larry's knows more about this than I do, but it's to go through the vacation process and return the land to the adjacent landowner. It's shaped up. It came out really nice. As far as the dirt work, it's all done. We took all the dirt we could use off it and hauled it over here on Road 3 and did some shoulder work with it. It was something we were going to do anyway. The request kind of pushed it forward a little bit, but it was all things we were going to do anyway.
So there's not a stop sign there now, and you're going to put up a stop sign?
No. There's the road had already been closed. We haven't been using this thing for a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm assuming it dates back to when things were wet up there, and it was one less thing to have to worry about. And long term, we were always going to take it out anyway. So that's what that is.
But is there going to be stop signs on the gravel when it hits the pavement when you pave that 3 miles next summer? From the north and south?
No.
Okay, so you're leaving that open? Is there a yield or anything coming onto that pavement, or do we not
There's a
need
stop
it?
sign coming from the east and the west. The north-south road is a through road right now.
16.
So eventually we're going to have to make a decision. Is a gravel road going to have right-of-way over the paved?
Yep, and we have that scenario in 4 locations I can think of off the top of my head. Another one's up 11 and 10.
Yeah.
That one should be pretty easy. That one I would like to make into a 4-way, and someday we're going to need to address 13, Prairiewood, and the old highway as well, because the traffic flows have turned around there.
So right now, the intent is to keep the 16 open,
Yep.
nothing, and then the, okay.
As for right now,
Is,
I mean,
is that what counts show, is that 16's, more people on 16 than 5?
I couldn't tell you without looking off the top of my head, but I doubt it's, those 3 miles in the middle is higher than the rest of it. Like these 3
both of them
miles
are
in
hitting
here,
it.
right? Because you got the people going north-south on 16, and you have the people
Yeah.
going east-west on 5, and they're both using that piece in there in the middle.
And these ones on 10 annoy me too. To me, it doesn't make sense to have a gravel road have the right of way when
Right.
the paved has to stop.
And
Yeah.
and we'll see. That is the first one I would like to address, is the one at 10 and 11, because
It's hard to switch them around when people
It
are
is.
used
No,
to
I
it.
know it is.
Well, they don't stop at 11 anymore anyway, they just blow right through there.
Yeah.
I can assure you that.
Both ways.
So, but anyway, why don't you guys review that and
Okay.
take action on it next week?
So for today, we are going to vacate the intersection of County 5 and 16, and that's just the one on the north? Is that
Yes, but I think you should read this. Max has a copy
Okay.
there. You just wait until next week.
The attorney for the adjoining landowner prepared the proposed resolution, and I saw the final copy just yesterday, and I don't think it's clearly on the agenda, so I would
Okay.
suggest just wait a week.
Sure. Yep. And that's fine.
But there's no issues on the south one that we took out, it's the north piece?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
No.
But there's 2 that were taken out.
I'm going to get into something here. The way we ended up with those 2 pieces, I don't think are the same. And I think the county owns the rest of the land around the south one anyway. I think we ended up with the whole corner down there, and then had the road in between there. So we're the county's the adjacent landowner anyway. On the north one, there's an H plat, and the adjacent area is not the county, and that's where the request came from, the adjacent landowner, to expedite this a little bit. So at this time, we don't need to worry about anything on the south end.
Gotcha.
It's a slough anyway, and it doesn't have much value.
What is it, like an acre, 2 acres, or
This piece here,
Yeah. approximate? I mean,
I can't point like 8/10 of an acre is hanging in my head, but
0.83.
what does it say?
just
0.83
about an
acre.
acre.
Yeah, 0.83.
Can you email that to us?
Yeah, I'll email
Okay.
it.
Sounds
Larry's going to give it to me electronically, so then I can email it.
Perfect.
Oh, didn't I send that to you already?
You may have.
Okay.
I haven't checked this morning.
Okay, so we'll wait and act on that next week.
Yep. Then just a quick update of what we're doing. We just got done with this. This should be done today, the end of today. The paving on 14. We chip sealed the south 6 miles on 16, and we added in 21 here. We're doing this today, this and this, and we'll be finishing this up tomorrow. We're chip sealing right now. And then I was going to go chip seal the road going to Richmond and the road going to Mina, and then I decided that I don't want that much exposure over the 4th of July weekend, having a fresh chip seal sitting out there and some guy drag his boat through it, and that'll be awesome. So we're going to put that off and go up to Barnard and pave the mile going into Barnard that we milled up last year. That'll be the next thing. But actually everything's going pretty good. This area in here, we're getting closer to knowing what we're doing, but I got to be honest, the extent of what's wrong up here, and until we go in there and start fixing stuff, and I got to say, this is as a group of roads of 30 miles right here, that's about as bad as it gets. Some of that.
Where's that at?
That's north and east of Columbia, east of 16 and west of 18, and in the middle. So we'll. I'm trying to get all the rest of this stuff done because it's pretty defined. This isn't very well defined yet, so I don't want to go in there before I got everything else done, and we'll finish out the year working on that stuff. So
Looks good.
That mile into Barnard, how thick of a mat do you put on that?
we'll probably put. Eventually, I'll put 2-inch lifts on there, but I don't know that we're going to do them both this year. Which that's a little risky sometimes, but I want to make sure I can do everything that I want to.
Sure.
So
Those folks will be excited.
yeah, and they've been
4 years
real.
ago, they didn't think that was going to get paved again.
Yeah.
So they'll-
They're
Didn't believe us, did they?
no.
And they've been pretty decent. Actually, everybody, even working on the stuff for Road 16 down there, where we are affecting quite a bit of property along the road there, they've been real positive and doing things to facilitate us getting it done. So,
How's our bridge at Hecla doing?
good. I got some pictures, but they're on my phone, so I won't pass it around. They've got all the beams on there. They got most of their false work on the top so that they can pour the deck. But as far as everything on the underside, the girders are all set. I've seen they started to haul some material in there for backfilling the ends, because it is, off the top of your head how far that bridge on 5 went up. It's a couple feet.
I want to say 2 to 3.
Yeah, it's a little bit higher. It was designed so that it isn't sitting in the water like the old one was all the time.
So you'll have a little slope.
Yeah, there'll be a little rise, but it'll be gradual. All right, that's all I got as far as my official stuff. Do you want to address this? Unless you have issues, I see it's 9:10. We can wait for Derek too. If you want to stay on schedule.
Yeah.
Finish up?
Why don't
That's
you?
good.
Do you have any?
Do you have a recommendation?
Checked out, so.
Both of them did?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I recommend awarding Foothills.
Okay. I would go with our engineer's recommendation, and I too would recommend awarding it to Foothills.
I move it.
Motion by Hanson, is there a second?
I think it's only appropriate to Tom at second.
Second. So is there an end date in this, or is it gonna be like the sidewalk out here?
December 2nd.
What is it?
Oh, it'll be done long before the sidewalk.
Tom, were you the second on that?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Other questions?
A racing crazy horse.
After the
It's done first.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries.
You have to use crazy horse as a standard. It doesn't seem so bad.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Dirk.
We all good?
Yeah, you're good to go.
You guys have a good day.
Next on the agenda, 9:10, Derek Ritchie, Fair Manager. Let's hear about the first week of ticket sales and an alcohol sale discussion. Good morning. How are you guys? Good.
Thank you. I'm going to try to get out there. This is yeah, Fort Fair.
And you brought friends.
We brought friends, yes.
I'm not that cool. It will be usable.
There'll be a big portion of
Let's go over ticket sales.
Just for the record, who you have with you.
We have John Hoffman from Republic, which is the state distributor for Hood River, which is the parent company for Pendleton. So if we can, we've got the 7 different layers for that. Stu Swenson, who's been entertainment chair and also been on the fair board with us. He sees a lot of the stuff that goes on backstage, and so he can speak to some of the things that happen there. We have Tom Schmidt from Sheriff's.
Thanks for coming, you guys.
And Teddy.
And you got
Oh, I'm sorry. And
He didn't know I was coming.
I apologize. Patty, my apologies.
That's all right.
All right, do you want to start with your recap
I
of
feel
the
like
ticket
Charlie
sales,
Brown.
or where do you want to start?
We'll start with the recap of ticket sales. Here's where we are as of 8 a.m. this morning. On there. On the report side, as we're looking at it, did I miss something? Sorry. We'll start, this is the overview page. So this is, when you log in, you kind of get the overview or a snapshot of where we are in real time. It shows us a couple of things. The very top on the right-hand side, where it says $17.19 and $78,036. That's our real-time revenue recap. It tells how many total tickets and then how much in total dollar revenue has been sold up to this point. You'll see underneath there's individual event tabs that will show you what each specific event has sold. So let's look at the Carnival, for example. You'll see a number 30 next to tickets. That's how many tickets have been sold. The number underneath that is the number that's left remaining. So as we kind of scroll down, we'll go to 3-day reserve seat.
Remaining or total available?
Total available. Yeah, total available.
They went with 45 this year.
For
Carnival?
45, I'm not seeing.
4,500.
What was it last year?
Oh, 4,500. Technically, on the pre-sale, we can go up to 4,500 as far as what we're able to pre-sell. For Murphy, anything over that, we need to get written approval from them to sell anything in excess pre-sale of 4,500. But as far as at the actual event, that gets turned over to them the week of sale. So Murphy sells from that point on, but we're allowed to sell up to 4,500 pre-sale.
How many of these are promos?
None. There are no
Do you
promos.
have promos in addition to the 4,500?
The promos those are handled specifically through, that's a separate part of the contract. So those will be tracked internally the same way we'll track the other tickets. But we're not going to deal with any of the promos or comps until a later date, because if we throw the comps in there, it's going to skew our numbers. Yep. So we'll see it at Mercy Me. Let's look at that one. That's about 179. We're about 62 tickets off of where we were same time last year. The two primary reasons that we've been able to look at with the data has been the Wednesday night concert, the Christian night concert, selling a little bit slower than it did last year. That's not really a surprise because there's no incentive to purchase early, where last year we had kind of the excitement of it being a new event. So that's where a lot of that newness, the new car smell is worn off a little bit, so to speak. So we're projecting those are going to come in a little bit closer to without any kind of early booking incentive. We're also looking at Saturday night sales tracking a little bit slower for Jake Owen on the single night event tickets than they did for Gary Allen, but then the Thursday and the Friday are reversed. So last year, the Thursday night sold better than the Friday night concert at the same time. But as far as total Delta net tickets, we're about 62 off, but I'm not overly concerned about that, because 65 of those are directly attributed to the Wednesday night. So we're actually slightly ahead when we adjust for that individual concert.
Are you finding on your rodeo most people that have got those are getting both nights?
Quite a few, actually. Once we opened it up, originally the initial thought with the board was that we were only going to allow the one night to be purchased at $6, but it looks like opening it up for both nights has actually been a positive for us, because we're seeing a high percentage of people buy both nights.
Well, this is really easy to read and understand. I like these reports. Anybody have questions?
And we can get a lot more detail. There's about 30 other reports we can run, depending upon how we paid, which card, when did they sell, how many tickets did we sell. We can kind of carve this up pretty specifically. Who sold what? We're also going to be looking at the outlet performances too as well, to see how the outlets were selling, and should we look at different outlets? Should we move it out to the fairgrounds based on the process? So that'll be a kind of a fluid thing we'll look at over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Any other questions?
The scanners, did you read in?
Scanners we did test, and they do actually work. So did the multi-card readers for the credit cards. That does look good too as well.
Do you determine who pays for those?
We have some left. We have some from last year that we can reuse. So they'll send 2 with the contract that we've signed with them, and then we can use the other. I think it's 7 or 8 that we have downstairs. So it's a standard barcode reader, so there's nothing overly complex to it. So.
Any other issues with the auditor or treasurer? Or?
There's been some things that we've had to look at in terms of people making sure they're logged in with the right login. Where if you're not logged out, like let's say you two guys have an individual login, which is the way that everyone should do it. If you stayed logged in and Doug rang it under yours, the report's going to be off a little bit. But then when we went back and audited it, we found out that the numbers were true. It's just a matter of the clerks will need to sign in and out. We've had that issue at some of the retail locations too, so it's not fair to say it was localized to one location.
Okay, any other questions on ticket sales? All right. Well, enough of the controversial part. Let's go on to the alcohol sale. Let's talk alcohol. What do we got going on, guys?
Well, we started looking at some things. This has kind of been about a 6 to 8 week process. It started with reaching out to the folks at Pendleton, and Pendleton looking to become more involved in the rodeo as they are in other locations. So one of the questions that they asked was, on the sponsorship side, would we consider selling Pendleton at the rodeo, as they do in a lot of the other rodeos in the area? So we had to have a couple of conversations. We reached out and talked with both boys and girls and hockey, because we knew there were going to be potential impacts there. We did reach out with and speak with the sheriffs. It's not going to be a complete surprise that we're not all in complete agreement on it, because I think there's certain things that are unique to our individual areas, so I won't speak for them specifically. But I think overall we've tried to take that information and mitigate any of the potential issues as much as we can. Can we mitigate them 100% to the satisfaction of those groups? I don't think that that's possible, but if we can mitigate it to a manageable percentage, I think we could move forward. We'll talk about 3 things. First thing is going to be liability. One of the questions that we had, which was a potential challenge, was how do we separate the liability between the areas? with it being Boys and Girls Club on one side in this particular case, or hockey being there being in the same building at the same point. So what we did is we looked at where could we theoretically do this, where we could keep liability separate and contained, but then also have a controlled environment. Because if we're going to start the process by limiting them to 2 or possibly 3 drinks per night, we need to be able to contain that. So the area that kind of jumps out, you'll see it highlighted, it's to the east of the grandstand. For some reason, there's a natural corral area already built there. The only thing we would have to do is maybe corral that east end, which is open right now, figure out how we contain that. That could be done with cattle panels, it could be done with temporary fencing. There are 2 natural, one ingress and one egress. One's to the south of that small building that you see, one's to the north. We could control an in and an out from that area. So that way we'd be able to control no cups leaving that particular area. There's power technically on the northwest corner there that we could use for any type of refrigeration units, for freezers for ice, or potentially chilled pop, things like that. So that was the mitigation of liability, and how do we control it coming in and coming out. Candidly, folks are sneaking in alcohol today currently, so the other reason that we're looking at this is because we think we have a stronger leg to stand on in forcing people bringing stuff in, because we have an option for something to be purchased at that point. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's to grow the sponsorship with Pendleton, potentially produce a revenue source for the county, and also try to mitigate the crossover between the 3 tabs. As they come in, you cut a tab, cut a tab, cut a tab. So that way if somebody does decide they want to hand their wristband to somebody else, and they come in and there are no tabs left, then the person at the bar doesn't have to try to figure out, is it valid, is it not? It's just a non-serve at that point. The other potential option is that we have business cards printed up with some sort of a anti-duplication factor to them, which I won't disclose publicly, just because then they'll figure out how to counterfeit them. So then using something like a business card size, and then tracking it that way.
Okay, any questions on that? The numbers make sense to everybody?
So again, big picture.
Yep.
The proposal is to have somebody furnish alcoholic beverages next to the grandstand during the fair on what?
Monday and Tuesday only.
And that would be the rodeo nights?
That would be the rodeo nights, yep.
Okay. And Boys and Girls Club isn't doing anything at that time?
They're handling all the malt and the beer at that time.
Can the hard liquor find its way over into the grandstands?
Right now, the way that it's set right now, no cups would be allowed out of that. There's only one entrance and one exit. So at this point, no. And then that way, the other thing it would do is by not allowing them to leave that corral area, it also makes it easier for law enforcement too to figure out if somebody's drinking in the stands. We know that it's something that they're not supposed to be doing because it's going to be controlled to that one area.
And basically the licensed premises would be this area in yellow that would be separate from the grandstands.
That could be, if that was decided, that would be the best way for it. Yes, we could isolate that. Yes.
Well, you know, generally when you have liquor licenses, you can't have 2 licenses covering the same territory.
Even if they're 2 separate categories of license?
Well, the license, I think, the Boys and Girls Club is a general license, and they choose to sell malt liquors. Mm-hmm. They're not restricted to that, as I understand what the statute allows them to do.
Well, there's 2 separate licenses, and based on the research that I have, there's only malt and farm wine. If they've applied for a full liquor, that would be a development that I'm not aware of.
Well, in any event, I think a licensed premise, once it's licensed to sell some kind of alcohol,
sure.
If they're not licensed to sell another kind, the other kind can't find its way in there, and that's what I'm just trying to make sure that's sure. What the deal is.
Right, and currently the way that I understand the license is limited to the grandstand, so with this separate geographic area, we could carve that out if we had to.
Okay. Just for clarification, okay, sure. So anyone who wants to purchase the alcohol has to drink it in that
yes.
yellow area.
Yeah, they have
How do they see the rodeo?
It's a decision that they make. If they want to come in and have a whiskey and Coke, then they can come into that general area. There is an availability for us to put a TV over there at some point, but again, I think we should walk before we run at this point, because there's enough power over there where we could add and develop this into for lack of a better term, a VIP area with a large screen TV if we wanted to.
And if somebody's hanging out at the fair and they want a whiskey, they have to have a rodeo ticket.
Correct.
So instead of a beer garden, or in addition to the beer garden, we're going to have a liquor garden, is what you're saying.
We could
No,
potentially.
Pendleton Garden.
Pendleton Garden.
That's what they're proposing.
And then who, do we look for someone to run it, or is Pendleton going to run it?
This first year, we're going to have some support, and I'll let John speak specifically to that.
We will bring up some promotional people to work the stand, make sure that everybody's comfortable with what's happening. We have some volunteer group that's going to be bartenders as people come in. Again, with the carting and stuff, we'll have that happen before they get to the bar area. You know, it's Pendleton wants to have that big exposure, and with the rodeos that they have, they'll make sure that this area is papered with Pendleton. You know, Pendleton welcomes you to the Brown County Fair and the Dakota Stampede Rodeo, things like that. So the promo people that we would bring up would be in Pendleton, or whatever we would need them to do, and would handle that part of it.
And this is not unique. We just we're in the process of signing a 3-year deal with Wrangler, where, you know, and I'll use this as an example. Wrangler's still developing what their exact offer is. But let's say you go into the Hitching Post and buy $100 worth of Wrangler gear. They're going to pay for a free rodeo ticket for you. So a lot of these larger sponsors, they're looking for some sort of bounce back or some sort of drive back to a point of purchase display. So it's pretty similar to what a lot of the other folks are looking
I think that will hurt the beer sales, though.
Keep thinking of Party in the Pasture, I'm sorry.
I want to hear what the Fair Board thinks. You've been here a long time, Stu. You've seen a lot of stuff. Do you think this is going to bring in some new folks, or what are you thinking?
I'm probably the worst one, but I support this 100%. I haven't drank for 26 years, and I'm the one supporting the whiskey at the fair. It could be a good addition, the Pendleton part of it, because they are a very good sponsor. The board voted 100% to go with the Pendleton Whiskey Corral, whatever you choose to call it. When you asked about the people missing the rodeo, you know, we open the gates at least an hour ahead of time. So if you got there an hour ahead of time and you wanted to drink before the rodeo, then you could go to the corral and grab one. No, I think it'd be a great deal. Especially the Pendleton girls might be coming the way I understand.
How about Tom?
You know, we're absolutely opposed to it. We've talked with the Boys and Girls Club. You know, already we have open shifts that we can fill for security. We have minimum staffing out there. Now you're going to have yet another site where there may have to be law enforcement. And it's like, I don't know where you end. You know, it may be where we will come to you as a sheriff's office and say, we just can't do this anymore. You're going to have to look for a private security because it has gone past what we can do. We're tapped out as far as law enforcement within a 60-mile radius. And they either don't sign up, they don't have any interest in it, you know, so you're adding more. We've got now another hour beer gardens that we were never even talked about. So now we have to shift our security even later on the fairgrounds. I don't know where you want to end, but it may be where we're just going to say we just can't do it anymore. So you keep adding things and we're unable to add extra staff. So that's our security. And like I say, I guess I'm not sure, it's kind of like peeing in a swimming pool. How do you corral that? You don't. You know, I come in, I get 3 drinks for my wristband, I leave, I do a little double take, come right back in, I get another 3 bands. You know, you don't control that. Just like we don't control the alcohol coming on during the concerts. You know, they do a great job of carting the people buying them, and as soon as they turn around from the guy dispensing the beer, you have to open your bag and, excuse me, and if there's whiskey there, we're going to take it out or you can take it back to your car. A lot of times that just doesn't happen. If you have a valid ticket, you're in. And then that's where it goes from there. So, you know, there's issues, but a lot of it's staff. And if you don't have enough staff, those issues will remain.
Sure. Derek, when would you guys close up if we did this? Would it be a...
Well, I think if we keep it limited the first year, I think in a perfect world, we'd sell out before the rodeo is over at that point. And to Tom's point, you know, with things being overstressed, I mean, and Stu can speak to this because he's actually seen the piles year over year. You know, the piles don't seem to be getting any smaller. So the other thing, by putting this separated area that's controlled, we have a little bit more control over the situation where, as the guys that are, you know, short-staffed are walking through, they know that anybody who has something that looks like whiskey, looks like alcohol, they have the confidence to be able to bounce them at that point, where right now it's just an open free-for-all. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, we're trying to do it from a revenue perspective because there's things we need to build and things we need to rebuild from a capital expenditure side. But on the other side, we're also adding one more restrictive area that if you're not in this restrictive area and you know coming in this is the only place you can do it, you really have no legitimate argument as to when you get thrown out at that point if you're doing that. So this may actually even help with a crackdown.
So what's going to stop them from leaving and re-entering?
You can come in as many times as you want. It's just whether or not you actually are able to be able to purchase something else.
You talked about tabs in the wristband. How are they going to accumulate them, or how are they going to get those?
They'll be carded when they come in, and then you clip the tabs as the bartenders are serving the drinks at that point.
So Tom had said there's a chance that they can get that redone again. What's the precautionary point of, if he has 3 drinks,
sure,
can he get a ban for 3 more drinks? How are you going to prevent that?
Potentially you could tie it to the ticket program, but I think that's kind of a straw argument, quite honestly, because what would stop me from buying 10 tickets, getting 10 beers, handing them to 10 of my friends, and then going back and I think what we're arguing about is the type of alcohol being purchased versus alcohol in and of itself. I think that's really the argument that has kind of presented itself today. So do we see that as a different liability versus beer, even though there's a limited catch?
And I'd have to agree with Derek. You know, I'm thinking all these years we have tried to keep it a Norman Rockwell fair. They have done a super job. But we're against yet another site for alcohol sales and a stronger alcohol. You know, so it's how many more now? We're going to have another site between Centennial and the rest of the fairgrounds. I mean, there has to be a certain tipping point where we just can't do it anymore. And you know, if the fair wants to take that responsibility, then it just may be that some of those will just be unprotected, or we're answering calls for service only. You know, so you have to make some decisions because we're about tapped out. We really are.
So is this a special rate given by Pendleton on your spreadsheet of expense and revenue?
They're
Is
willing to
there
work with us.
additional revenue just as the sponsorship itself, other than the cost of the drinks, or is that all?
It's all kind of wrapped in.
Okay.
What they're doing is they're working through Republic to show a discounted rate.
And to be clear, the discounted rate that's there is not a fluctuating rate. It's South Dakota is a post-down state, so at that particular, on any given month, the rate can fluctuate between $2 and $3 per bottle. So the rate that we have in there would be the post-down price at the lowest price that Pendleton would offer to the state. Where North Dakota, they have different laws and they can do different things. I mean, every state is different as far as the liquor law, as far as purchasing a bottle or a case of wine or spirit. So.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the commissioners?
I personally don't think it's a good idea. That's me.
And I agree with Tom Baxter.
Any other comments or questions? Well, do you guys have to know today?
There are certain things that we need to do to hit our timelines to be able to execute it if we are going to do that. So I think knowing where the group stands today would be a helpful benchmark.
But you could find out next week if we wanted a week to do a little more research. That would work.
Yep. Okay.
I hate to put more burden on you guys, Tom, but I always look at the money, and you know, we kind of are. We're just so strapped for cash out there. There's so many things we want to do, and it's very enticing in that aspect.
Yep.
And so.
And I don't discount that. I mean, I'm talking to Stu. You know, they're doing electricity for another 40 more primitives. Super. You know, it's just eventually it's coming at a cost for us. You know, you guys are going to be able to cash the check. We're going to be the ones kind of taking the issues out there.
Right.
And like I say, it's a whole other site that we'll have to divide our people. And there's many times we have 2 deputies out for the entire fairgrounds. which is about a square mile, you know, so 15,000 people and you got 2 guys, and then we're now starting to take people off the streets for calls for service simply because we don't have the people out there. They're a creature of their own success, you know. They've done an incredible job, and sadly it gets bigger, but we're not.
Sure.
So
I guess I'd like a week just to look at the potential revenue and see what it's going to cost you guys and kind of weigh that, and then talk to a few more fair board members. I mean, I appreciate you guys going out and looking for new ideas and new things that we can do, and I think we owe it to you guys to at least think on it and check it out and do a little research. So appreciate you guys coming in. Was there any other questions? Any comments? All right, well, we'll take it up again next week if that's okay with you guys. Give us a week to think on it.
I think that's fair.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much for your time, guys.
Thank you. See you later.
I thought the fare tickets was a controversial.
All right, thanks.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the regular agenda. Max, did you have anything else come through?
No, I'll be right back.
No problem. Gary, did you
I
have
need one quick exec with Dirk in attendance also.
Okay.
For personnel.
Okay, we'll do that in 1 sec. I have one item. Most of our departments, IT, state's attorney, fair, the intern rate that we've hired them for this summer is $11.13. I would like entertain a motion if you guys see fit to up 4-H's intern was only at $9.63, and I just thought it might be right to make everybody uniform. And she's been here, this is starting her 3rd year.
I would move that, I agree.
Moved by Fishback, is there a second? Second by Feldheim. Any discussion on that?
If we do that, I think we should do it just in case any other interns are hired for the rest of the summer. So include any
All interns
summer
at the
interns for the
11.
rest of the summer.
Also, yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Versus just the 4-H.
Okay, so we'll make the standard rate the $11.13 for all interns this summer. Is that okay if we switch the motion a little bit with that?
Yep.
We're making the standard rate for interns for this summer $11.13. Any other discussion or questions?
We don't have any of them making more than that, do we?
No, but you've got one making less.
She's
That's
bumped
why
up.
we're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a motion to change Ashley.
Yeah.
Well,
And then any others
and-
coming?
and any
Do
potential
you have an
new
intern?
hires.
Well, are you calling interns something different than my summer help? Because my summer help makes more than 11.13.
Let's not, I don't think they're considered interns
They're not
on
interns.
the.
I mean, you have something defined as an intern then.
Years are mowers and stuff like that.
Yours are seasonal.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's.
They're defined as seasonal versus.
The 4-H assistant isn't really an intern. The museum has they did have a summer intern, they don't this year, but the 4-H,
We would like to consider her an intern and put her at the 11.13.
okay. How many years do interns come back?
In Ashland's
Depends on
case,
the person.
As many as we can get them if they're good.
And if they want to do it and
Okay.
we want to have them here, then
But it's more of a seasonal than an intern, is my point.
So in
Either
other
way,
words,
she
should-
deserves more.
Yeah, okay, so,
So using that logic, she should actually be paid more,
Right.
right? So I think we
We can look into
label
that.
her an intern
11.13
at
sounds good.
11.13 and
Okay, any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries.
okay, who made the motion?
I did.
It's Fishback, Feldheim, right?
All right.
All right, before we go into exec, was there anything else from the commission? Anything from the folks in attendance? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go into exec for
personnel.
personnel.
so
Moved by Sutton,
With Dirk in attendance.
seconded by Feldheim. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries. All right, we are back from exec. We had one action on personnel. Is anybody prepared to make a motion on that?
Today.
effective today,
The other day we had
or June 8th.
Yeah, June, that would be good.
I would make a motion that effective June 8th, we terminate the employee, or the employment of Highway Department employee due to a situation that just doesn't allow us to keep her on the payroll anymore.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Seconded by Feldheim. Any discussion?
Is there any name?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries.
Not until they're notified, Max.
Oh, okay.
Is there anything we need to do action while we were in exec? Anything else come up for you, for us? Okay. Gary, anything else that came up?
We're good to
Anything
go.
from the commissioners? All right, seeing nothing, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Okay. Moved by Sutton,
Second.
second by Feldheim. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries. Have a great week.
See, actually,